Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're doing well. Well, happy Thursday. It's snowing outside. You know, I just sometimes think I don't know where I'm living. But I'm glad to have y'all here today and welcome to Holy Moments and Holy Places. Today we're going to be visiting one of my favorite cities again. We're going back to Edinburgh, Scotland, and we're going to be visiting St. Giles Cathedral. And it's a very interesting place. I hope you enjoy our conversation today. I wish it was a little bit more of a conversation, but anyway, we'll be enjoying some time together here in any event. Um, First thing I want to share with you is a picture. I have been working. Oh Lord, no, we don't want that. Okay. First thing I want to share with you is a picture of St. Giles Cathedral. And this is it. It is, it seems like a very daunting edifice, doesn't it? This is actually the backside of the cathedral and not the entrance, believe it or not. Well, I shouldn't say that. It is the entrance, but it's taken from kind of a weird angle. And St. Giles Cathedral is located on what is called the Royal Mile. It is the main high street in Edinburgh. The top of the high street is Edinburgh Castle, and on the bottom of the Royal Mile or the high street is Holyrood Palace. So within 1 mile, there are two royal palaces. And in between, almost exactly between Holyrood Palace and Edinburgh Castle, is St. Giles. Now, I had the very distinct pleasure. I've been to Scotland and Edinburgh in particular 3 times. And the last time I was there in 2019, I had the distinct pleasure of being up close and personal, you might say, with St. Giles, and it's quite a story. So I'm gonna switch us over here to our here we go again with technical difficulties because actually what I'm seeing and what you're seeing are really different things. So I'm gonna work on seeing if I can get this to calm down a little bit, and so that you can actually see what's there. Um, let's see here. It will not allow me to resize this for some reason. Of course. Of course. It's just so funny because what I see on my screen and what you guys are seeing are two totally different things. So it's indicating to me that something is rotten in Denmark with OBS Studio. So I'm going to see. I'm going to try one other thing. If we can try this here. Nope, that's not what I want. I'm just going to try to look for properties here. Okay, this is so funny. So what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to look at that. If I were to say anything to the people that make OBS, it would be, you have to, not everybody is a technical genius. I certainly am not. I'm learning as I go. And you tell me to do certain things through your wonderful tutorials. And then when it doesn't happen, there's absolutely zero available to help me. So anyway, getting back to that, I'm hoping that we can get this to work here at some point. I'm really not sure why this isn't working because it was working very well before. And now suddenly it's not. I want to use this. And what I don't want, I'm going to turn off my video capture and see if that will help matters a little bit. anyway, no, it's upside down. That's great. So oh yes, let's just continue to have some fun here with this. Um, oh, folks, I am really sorry. I really thought that I mean, I've been working with this for 45 minutes and I had it all set up. I tested it. And then there must be something that gets lost in the translation here. So I'll be working on that while I am talking to you. So I'm going to get rid of that. I'm back. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do old-fashioned pictures here from my files, and I'm going to just share my screen with you and be done with all this fancy schmancy stuff because it's just not working out. So I'm going to do my display capture here. All right. So this is the high street that I was talking about, right? What you can see, this short little spires there that you can see, and then the tall spire, not the curvy one with the spiky top on it. That's something entirely different. But so Giles Cathedral is the kind of shorter spires that are in that. And then if you look beyond those spires and down the hill, that's where Holyrood Palace is. And if you go behind where the picture taker is where Edinburgh Castle is. So that's the picture I'm trying to show you. And the street where all the people are walking is the Royal Mile. And there are shops and interesting places. There's these little, I've heard people call them close. I've heard people call them close. But there's these little side alleys. And you're either going down or up in Edinburgh. There's no flatness in Edinburgh. It's always, you're always walking up or downhill. And these little closes, that's what I call them. Correct me if I'm wrong. They are just charming. And there are beautiful old apartments off of them. Well, right off the Royal Mile on a close is a place called Apartments Edinburgh. And they are what's called a serviced apartment. And it's like a hotel. It's like you rent somebody's apartment, but there's nobody lives there, you know. And they come in and they clean for you and they make your bed and stuff like that. But they don't have a restaurant and they don't have, you know, public facilities. It's just an apartment. But when I was there, I had my friend Brianna with me, and she we rented this lovely apartment. Well, our view happened to be of St. Giles Cathedral. And I'm just going to see if I can. So I'm going to go back to me here for just a second because I need to go back to my, here we go. See if I can pull this up for you. I'm doing this really old school here. So this is actually the view out of our apartment window. I mean, is this not fantastic? And the whole time we were there, we would hear tour groups coming through, and they would I'd sit on the floor because it was floor to ceiling windows, and the window was open, and I would listen to their little spiels about the different things, and the ghost tours would come through here because there's a big square where there's a fountain, and there's cathedral, and we were right there in the middle of the action. And apartment number 1, it was fantastic. It was the best place I've ever stayed in Edinburgh. It was really great, and the price was fantastic too. So if you ever need a place to stay, talk to me. But anyway, this was our gorgeous view, and so you know when you see that every day, you're bound and determined to go there. You really, really want to see what's inside that beautiful edifice. I mean, honestly, look at that. So that's exactly what we did. And we, Brianna and I had been all over town and done those open top bus tours and been up to the castle, been down to the palace, and everywhere in between. We've done some shopping, gone to some local restaurants. I went to a little lovely little breakfast place there, but ridden the bus all over town through Canongate. So St. Giles, I'm going to put the picture back up here. Whoa. Sorry about that. I'm going to put the picture back up here. This cathedral was built in, it was started in 1124 by King David I of Scotland. And he, at that time, there wasn't a Protestant church. It was the Catholic Church. And so this was to honor the Holy Roman Church. And King David had a real affinity for the Catholic Church and wanted to show that by putting this beautiful, beautiful cathedral in. Well, at that time, he wanted, it predates the whole Abbey of Holyrood, which is, I showed you down the Royal Mile. And he gave the abbot permission. He helped found that abbey, and then he gave the abbot permission to build houses all along the ridge up to where the cathedral was. And now, and that's an area called the Canongate. And there's another cathedral, Canongate Kirk, which is just down a little closer to Holyrood also. But at the time, this was the central church in Edinburgh. And then along came, fast forward 400 years later, a man by the name of John Knox, who I happen to have a picture of, if I can get my thing to work here. Lordy. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to hold my breath and do some prayer. Hope that I can get these pictures to come up. Okay, so once again, we're going to do it the old-fashioned way. I'm going to pull up some other pictures from other places because it's really important that you see these things. That's the whole purpose. Oh, that's right. Oh my. Well, so let me see what I can do here. Oh, my cables came unplugged. All right. Very hokey setup I have here. Oh, I heard the funniest joke the other day about unity in the church. But meanwhile, while I'm trying to get this set up for you, it basically boiled down to a guy was going to jump off a bridge, and then another person came up to him and was asking him what church he went to and all this other information, and got down to the very specific end of it, and I won't tell you the ending because it's not a very nice joke, but look it up. It's pretty funny if you're into that. Okay, and here's what we're going to do. I'm going to share this with you, and we're going to probably see some other pictures along the way. So here is the floor. I had to show you this picture of the floor of St. Giles Cathedral because it is really, it's really something. Why is this not advancing? It is not advancing. You see how there's the old, very, very ornate floor. And then there's a slate floor here. And then this is some kind of a concrete thing. It's more modern. But this is just like being in somebody's house that they've lived in a really, really long time. There's a patch here and a patch there. Well, this cathedral was so like home. I felt so at home there. And the day that we went was actually our last day in Edinburgh. And we had been to, I had gone over to Greyfriars Kirkyard, and I like to visit cemeteries, so we did that. And I'm gonna put my video capture on because I got to do some stuff here. So we did all of that, and it was just fantastic. And then we decided, I said, Brianna, we can't be across the street from this church and not go in. And so that's exactly what we did. We planned on going, and we did. And this is what we saw when we came in to the place. It was gorgeous, but it was like, here's John Knox. They have a statue of him there in the thing. And I should tell you that in 1540, he was a Scottish priest at the time. But then the Reformation happened, and he was converted to Protestantism. And his house was actually just like less than a block from St. Giles. And so he fled into hiding in exile. But in Switzerland, he made friends with John Calvin, who I'm sure you're familiar with. And when he got back to Scotland, he took up with some other reformers and marched into onto the high street and basically took over St. Giles Cathedral and preached there for the very first time. And then he was elected its minister the following week, and it was stripped of its Catholic identity. So here it is. This church is just gorgeous. But above all, it felt really homey. I can't even explain it to you. It felt like there was a lot of nooks and crannies, as you can see, but it didn't feel like some of the other cathedrals I had been in. You see how the ceilings are just a little bit lower, the doorways just a little bit lower. I mean, there's still that beautiful blue ceiling beyond there, but and there was these lovely old. Some of these flags must be hundreds of years old, especially that one on the very top there. But you can see that the ceiling isn't as tall nearly as like Salisbury, which is just hugely tall. This is a story about the three-legged, I think this is a three-legged stool, yeah. And it has to do with Scottish nationalism, and it's a wonderful story. But you can also see in the roof here a lot of history. You see all the patchwork again, where there's just so much history in that one little picture. And there's, okay, sorry, I've got to go through some of these pictures, these old pictures. But let's go back here again. Again, I'm really sorry, you guys. I'm trying to do the best I can. So as we were walking through the cathedral, there were many wonderful tombs with effigies and, fantastic things. But there was a place that we had heard of called the Thistle Chapel. And it supposedly was, the beautiful place to go and just gorgeous. And we were told, you have to see it. You have to see it. So we went there with good intention to see it and weren't able to access it. Okay, here's the ceiling. All right, so I'm not sure why all of a sudden I can't. There. Okay, here's what the Thistle Chapel looks like. It is unbelievably ornate. It's incredible. All this hand-carved wood and stone. Unreal. And the here we go. And this is the ceiling that is carved. Those are all carved pieces of stone. If you can believe that. Isn't that crazy? So, having seen all these pictures and everything, finally, with much difficulty, we finally saw. I had my holy moment, okay? When I got to the Thistle Cathedral, and the Thistle Chapel, and I couldn't get in. And I realized that God's house is open to everyone. Now, in this particular case, these were people making the choice to close the chapel that day. Now, I'm not sure why it was closed. I have no idea why it was closed. It didn't say. It just said, we're sorry, you can't visit this today. And I was just like, you're sorry, I'm sorry. Because this is really, a thing that I wanted to do while I was here. And plus, I had given them a donation to the cathedral, because that's how they make any money. I mean, it's just all of the cathedrals would be falling down if it weren't for people that donated. So, because the church doesn't really give them any money to help out, much like our local church. We have to work on our own. We get services from the hierarchy like they do, but when it comes down to it, they're not going to pay our bills for us. So we have to pay our own bills. So it occurred to me as I was standing outside this locked chapel door that this wouldn't happen in God's kingdom. That there are no locked doors. There's no one that can't come into the kingdom of heaven. And the thing is, it's up to us to make our lives such that God opens his arms and welcomes us. Now, that does not have anything to do with who we are, who we were born to be. It is strictly about choices that we make that are either to steer our lives toward God or steer away from God. And when we steer away from God, we might have a little trouble getting that door open. Okay? But that doesn't mean we can't get in. God is always wanting to welcome us, to open that door and let us in. So, in all these difficulties that I've been having with my really ridiculous software on this computer, and like I said it before, if you could see what I see right now, you would understand why it's a difficult problem. It's so important to me to tell these stories to you so that you understand that you always have access to God, that God is there for you. God is real and tangible and alive in the world today, doing amazing things every day. It's whether we choose to see those things or whether we let them pass us by. And part of being able to choose to see them is to be aware and to keep our eyes open and enjoy. Take some time to listen and to see and to look, like in this beautiful snow we're having today. I don't like snow, but on a day like today when it's not sticking to the ground and all that, it's great. I love it. So I hope that this story of my holy moment in a holy place, St. Giles Cathedral in Edinburgh, Scotland, one of my favorite places I've ever been in the world, will tell you something about your meaning to God and how important you are. So thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I hope you will like my video. I know that they get a little long sometimes, but there's so much to say. And with my technical errors, I'm going to really work on this, people. I'm going to work my hardest, and I'm going to download some new software because this is not working for me. I like to be a little bit more on the ball, and I do a lot of research and prep work to get ready for these, and it makes it sound like I'm some kind of bumbling, fool who just decided to get on all of a sudden and, hey, I think I'll do a Facebook Live today. I put a lot of work and effort into it, and I want my end product to come out looking like that. So I'm going to work on that, and I'm hoping that you will join me for the last segment of Holy Moments in Holy Places, and you will probably see me cry because I saved the very most meaningful holy moment I ever had in a holy place for the last. And we're going to be visiting the place that I happened to be on the last day of my trip to Europe with my family when I was there in 2017. And how I felt the presence of someone very close to me in that place. So please join me at 4 p.m. on Tuesday. That is the day before Ash Wednesday, and I hope you will also join us for our Ash Wednesday service. It's at 6:30 online. It will be, the link is available through the church, so contact the office if you'd like to join us. And then we're off and running for our new Lenten series, and I'm going to be doing, what did I call it? I'm sorry. Um, we're going to be doing a survival guide to Lent, and through real and tangible things that you would need to survive in the desert of our world. So I hope you'll join me for that. And everybody take care. Thank you for putting up with me and my absolutely frustrating lack of technical expertise. So I appreciate it. Take care.